we are back, and we just finished watching 2015's Men and Chicken, directed by Anders Thomas Jensen, who also did Riders of Justice, which was another movie we saw this year, right?
Yeah.
That was just
another Mads Mikkelsen movie.
Another Mads Mikkelsen movie, which was also just fantastic. This, wow, I don't even know how to describe it. IMDb has it tagged as a drama, comedy, mystery.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, all of those things. The funny thing is, like, I remember Hulu's description had it as slapstick. And like, you look at the trailer and you're thinking, yeah, this sort of looks like a Dumb and Dumber-ish type movie. And you're thinking, that's so strange that Mads Mikkelsen is in it. He always plays like this like dour, brooding, guy.
You know what's funny? He does a lot of comedy in Denmark. A lot of his movies are very comedic.
He was good in this. I mean,
and it's so funny because in American movies, he's more of that weird, rough persona.
Yeah.
But in Danish films, he is like an utter goofball. And I'm here for all of it. I think, okay, so I would say that this is an enigma wrapped in a je ne sais quoi, and I loved every second of it. This Anders Thomas Jensen is like my new favorite guy.
He definitely likes making films that defy your expectations.
Yeah.
Like with Riders for Justice, you thought it was going to be like some action movie. And,
right.
And then it's like this like thing about life and there's humor in it and all this. And this was, you expected to be some sort of goofy slapstick comedy.
Right.
And it's like some weird, it's almost got like horror elements and and there's the mystery and just absolute weirdness.
Absolute.
I did not.
Yeah, from where it starts to where it ends.
Yeah,
I had no clue.
I just thought it was about two idiot brothers who reconnect with their long lost family.
Yeah.
And oh my God, it was just you get to a point where you're just like, something really weird is going on here.
Yeah, and the more you delve into it, the more bananas it gets, right?
Yeah.
Well, the other funny thing I noticed about this filmmaker, he has this really interesting storytelling technique where he starts and ends kind of bookendish, because the first scene, like, it's voiceover as is the ending, but it's also these two little boys carrying this basket of eggs into, I guess, a kitchen or wherever the hell they go end up. Right. And it's interesting because when you get into that final scene and you see everything, it's like, interesting. Because I thought those two little boys were going to be Gabriel and Elias, but it
who played Gabriel? Because technically he is the protagonist.
He is the protagonist. His name is...
Mads Mikkelsen is sort of like a side protagonist.
I hope I'm not butchering his last name. His name is David Dencik.
Okay.
He was fantastic.
He was great.
He was great.
He was like the...
He was the straight man.
He was the straight man of the... I mean, he had his weird quirks too.
Right.
But... he was the guy who...
But he was the most normal.
Right. Like when the people in the mayor of the village was like, so he was like, you gotta keep him straight. You gotta, they need Gabriel to be fine, because if not, they're gonna take him away to the hospital and then we won't be an island anymore.
Oh my God, the mayor's rationale was hilarious. They didn't give a damn about
anything so long as they had more than 40 people on this island.
Otherwise they would lose their status.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Well, you're the worst mayor ever.
I also noticed that this director, he definitely uses the same actors.
Same actors, yeah.
Right. The brother who played Joseph.
Joseph was
also in Riders of Justice, and I saw a trailer. I mean, I don't know where this is playing.
Was Gregor in Riders of Justice? He looked familiar to me.
Yeah, I think he was too. The movie that he did before this, we have to find, because that also looks just batshit crazy.
What this director or
the movie that this director made prior to this is also just off the wall.
Just sounds nuts.
Oh my God! So it's called Adam's Apples, and this is from 2005. A neo-Nazi sentenced to community service at a church clashes with the blindly devoted minister. I'll let you guess who the minister is.
it Mads Mikkelsen?
Yeah. And Josef is one of the people that I guess lives in this place. I just saw the trailer for it. It looks nuts. But anyway, getting back to Men in Chicken. I mean, I feel like I don't want to spoil this movie.
No, we should. I mean, it came out a while ago, but this is something that not many people have seen.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people have seen.
It's in Danish. You're going to read subtitles throughout the film. Don't let that dissuade you. It's seriously, this is like it's got a good mystery to it. It's got funny bits in it. There is, I guess you could say, some slapstick moments, like when the brothers first meet and they're just hitting each other.
And there's some horrific, horrific parts to the story.
Yes, don't be squeamish. I mean, there's no graphic stuff with animals being hurt or anything like that, but there's implications
of that,
of what's going on, and you're just like, oh my God, what is wrong with these freaking people? I mean, and just the subject matter, like especially of like what's going on secretly,
right, is also kind of icky.
Is very dark stuff. Like like I'm not kidding when I'm saying that there's definite notes of like horror in this, because there probably have been. There's definitely been like straight horror movies with this kind of subject matter.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
What did you think of the overall picture?
I mean, I really liked it. Like I said, this guy is good at taking you for a ride to an unexpected place.
Yeah.
I really thought this was, when we saw it, I would like, the reason why we're like scrolling through Hulu and this thing just pops up and I'm like looking at the thumbnail and I'm like, is that Mads Mikkelsen? Because he looks so freaking goofy in this thing. He's got like sort of a hair lip scar and a mustache and this like terrible hair.
Yeah.
And you read the description and it's like these two guys meet their weird family trying to find their long lost father or something like that.
Yeah.
And you watch the trailer. The trailer's kind of goofy.
Yeah. I thought of, you know what I thought of? That movie that you like, Monster with Benigni. Like, I thought it was going to be sort of like that. Like a comedy of errors.
Like a comedy of errors sort of thing. But then we were like, all right, let's give this thing a shot. Because we loved Writers for Justice.
Oh, my God.
And it was same director, same actor.
Actors.
And you start watching it, and it's sort of, it begins, and you're like, okay, this is what I was kind of expecting. The awkward brother, I mean, the terrible date with the psychiatrist in the wheelchair. Gabriel with his weird gagging, and then it just starts veering off into more bizarre territory, and so by the end you're just like, what the fuck did I just watch? And I love that when it's done well. It's done well. And this is done well.
Yeah, this guy is amazing. He's a really good storyteller.
He really melds just disparate genres together in a way that when the end you've had a satisfying story experience.
Yeah.
This was good. This was really good.
Yeah. And I also like that, I mean, this thing is just so many different things. I agree with you, but I think the director also has a very keen eye and a very keen ear as far as like familial relationships and the study of families and what make up families and how these families interact. And it's kind of interesting because at the end you start with these people that are kind of all over the place, and by the end they're like this cohesive unit. And even in Writers and Justice you see that too. At the end they sort of make this ragtag little family out of all these broken people. And you could sort of say the same thing here. I mean, here the common thread is that they all share the same father, but they too are so weird and different, all the brothers. But at the end, they find that commonality and they find that love, and they really do become a family.
Yeah, and with the rest of the town too.
Yeah.
Like the rest of the town understands what's going on, and
they seem fine with it.
Well, you gotta have 40 people.
That man was so nuts. That man was
maybe
so
if
nuts.
that wasn't a requirement, they would have been like, just get rid of these guys.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite scene or a favorite character?
I'd probably say Gabriel, because
Gabriel's the heart of this.
He's the heart of this movie. He's the most relatable as far as the characters go, because honestly, these guys,
they're nuts.
They're so freaking weird. Even Mad's character,
Elias,
you're just like, what is wrong with this guy? What is wrong with this guy? Like,
it's time, pull over.
Yeah, it's time, pull over.
That was nuts. Oh my god.
It's time, pull over. That was nuts.
Yeah.
And
Gabriel was just like nothing, right?
Gabriel,
I guess he must be used to it.
You could see why he didn't like hanging out with his brother.
Yeah, yeah.
And you could see why he didn't like being touched by his brother.
Yeah, yeah.
Like in the beginning when like Elias wants to hug him and stuff, he's just like,
yeah. And then Elias hugs him a little too long. Yeah. And even the other brothers, I don't think we're giving anything away if we mention the other brothers, Franz and Josef and Gregor.
Josef and Gregor. Yeah, they're all bizarre. I mean, Gregor seems to be sort of nice.
And Josef seems sort of normal, although with like a tinge of like weird social.
Yeah, you could see he gets sometimes it's, I guess, hyperactivity, and then he gets like focused on details and tangents and things like that. And then he just.
But he seemed very smart because he definitely liked reading, and he definitely could like. He's probably like your best bet as a phone a friend on how to be a millionaire or something, right? You know, he's probably like a font of useless information.
Although he'll give you some sort of like weird philosophical analysis of it afterwards.
Oh my god, his interpretation of the Bible was hilarious. And then Franz was like the Mo.
But it was hilarious, but it was spot on. I mean, let's be honest. That story in the Bible is berserk.
Yeah. Well, most of the stuff in the Bible is berserk.
And Franz is just. He's
like Mo.
He's like Mo. Yes.
He's Mo.
Yes. And he just loves hitting people with taxidermied animals.
Yes.
That was like bizarre. It was like
I mean that sentence. Come on. Did you ever think you'd say that sentence?
What sentence?
He loves to hit people with taxidermied animals. God.
Seriously, his go-to weapon. Like there was tons of stuff laying around. No, I have to grab like a stuffed fox or a bird.
Oh my god, that's so crazy. So if Franz is Mo, who's Curly? None of them. I don't think any of them were Curly.
No, there was
Larry. Maybe Gregor was Larry.
I think he was bald with hair on the sides.
Oh my gosh. Did you have a favorite scene in this?
I mean, there were a lot of little funny ones, but I would probably say maybe like when the mystery is revealed and they sort of all
come together.
Not that they come together, just that. I mean, yeah, I guess they do come together, but it's sort of like, okay, this is what's happening.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's sort of like at that point, like you see, there's a part in that scene where Gabriel is reading. Mm-hmm. And the three brothers, Franz, Gregor, and Josef come down the stairs, and Franz, of course, is holding a taxidermied animal.
Ready to.
And it looks, you could see that Gabriel is expecting this guy to just bash his head in with it, but he just puts it on the table.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, okay.
Well, I think
Franz knew everything.
Everything, right? Yeah. But I think it's
because he was the guy truly keeping the secrets. Like Gregor and Josef did not know what was going on.
Do you think?
Well, they knew some aspects of it, but not everything.
But do you think the father had let Franz in, or did Franz also make this horrible discovery on his own?
I don't know. I mean, he may have let him in because I think. Remember, because. Well, I don't want to give anything away, but it seemed like
we can talk about it offline if you want.
Okay, but it seemed like that. I get the impression that like maybe Franz was the favorite.
You think so? Why would you say that?
Because I believe that he may have been the favorite because I think Franz had the traits that the father really wanted to pass on, maybe, and Maybe that's why he let him in more than the others.
Maybe.
The others were the others. Yeah, they weren't up to his standard, I guess. I don't know.
You also have to rationalize that he was an older guy, obviously the father, and he probably needed help getting supplies and mobility and stuff like that.
And of them, I would probably say Franz was the most competent. Like Joseph,
of the three, yes,
yeah,
yes.
I can't imagine Joseph being a successful assistant because Joseph would constantly be jabbering and then running away or running around, and Gregor was
like a child.
Yeah, he was very dim, and all he wanted was everything was about girls, getting girls.
Yeah.
And so but Franz was actually the most serious. He was the guy who actually had like a hobby that required skills.
Right? And he had a job at some point before he had a job
at
a child
at a
with a
kindergarten.
taxidermy animal.
That was nuts too. It's like, well, it could have been both of their faults. And the lady's like, Carl is 4 years old.
That sequence was amazing. You know, it's so funny. Everybody shines in this movie. I mean, I feel like there is not one wasted moment. There is not one wasted thread of story. Everything is intentional. Everything has a purpose. Again, from where this starts to where it ends, it is such a lovely journey. I agree with you. This guy, wow. I mean, I now want to watch everything this man has ever done because I'm like, he is such a good storyteller.
I will say that at the end, I don't know. Knowing what you know by the end and seeing the end, you're just like, I don't know if I'm 100% on board with all this.
Well, no, I mean, but
it's lovely in a very weird
way. But I think that was the intention. Yes, I mean, if you look at it on the surface, it's what
like this
kind of thing.
This isn't a Hollywood movie.
Oh no, not at all, not at all. But I think, like I was saying before, I think that this director excels at like familial stories. I really think that he understands that's the mechanics of like broken people and how they come together
to form like a strange family.
Form like a strange family.
That's basically what it has in common with Riders of Justice.
Yeah, and I think there was another thing. There was a line, I can't remember. I think Franz says to Elias when Gabriel leaves, he's like, he never understood like the concept of family. Mm-hmm. I think Gabriel for like the longest time carried a lot of resentment and stuff, and then it wasn't until the very end that he understands like how all these pieces must come together. I think a lot of times, especially with families, it's easy to get bogged down in like the negatives, but I think it takes so much work and so much effort and so much heart to really fight the fight to keep that family united. And I think at the end here, Gabriel just gets rid of all his reservations and all his resentments and really focuses on what's in front of him. And basically, it's his family. It's his family.
Yeah, and it's understanding that he's like all the weirdness in his life is shared by these other people.
Yeah.
So in a way, this is actually a really good Thanksgiving movie.
Give thanks for family.
Yeah. Well, what
as weird as they are.
Thanksgiving is families come together, you get together, and everybody's got their own little opinions, and you just basically it's family. You got you may not agree with them, but you got to do your best to try and work it out and meet that common ground over a big meal, which
hopefully it's delicious.
That's like the end of the movie. I mean, they were all sitting around
having a meal.
That could have been Thanksgiving if it wasn't in Denmark or wherever the hell they were.
Funny little bit of trivia: "You don't choose your family" is the tagline for this movie.
Perfect. seriously perfect.
And another little fun fact, the old sanitarium from the movie was part of the sanitarium in Belitz near Berlin, Germany. The complex consists of 60 buildings built between 1898 and 1930. When the sanitarium was in use as a military hospital in World War I, Adolf Hitler was among the wounded. After World War II, it was used as a military hospital by the Soviet Union until 1994. Since they passed on any modernization, the complex is very popular among movie companies for history pieces. Parts of The Pianist, 2002, and Valkyrie, 2008, were shot in the area. Interesting. That place was expansive.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
And that's like another, like, and it was creepy too.
Yes,
I mean,
which also went to,
this film definitely had horror notes in it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, not a short movie. It's 1 hour and 44 minutes. According to IMDb, it's not rated, but I would say
it's got to be an R. Just
from the subject matter. I was going to say it's an R. But it's funny because you don't see anything, but the implications are pretty off the wall. Yeah. I'm completely just in love with this filmmaker. Just really, I mean, from where this story starts to where it ends, what a journey. What a journey.
Yeah, you are going to be taken on for
quite a ride.
Roller coaster. And I mean, if you haven't seen it, Riders of Justice, also
absolutely
very good.
Check that out. And also, that's also on Hulu, right?
Also on Hulu.
Also on Hulu. Yeah, we saw this on Hulu, but if you don't have that streaming service, it is on Tubi TV, which is free. It's got commercials, but they are limited, so it's not like, what was that awful service?
Pluto.
Please stay away from Pluto.
Awful.
But Tubi's not bad, and they actually have a pretty decent selection of movies on there. But if you haven't seen 2015's Men and Chicken, check it out. It is playing on Hulu and also Tubi TV.
You give it a number?
Oh, sorry. Number, I would say, I'm going to give this an 8.5. I really liked it a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say 8.
8.5. I would say 8.5. Yeah. It was. I think I like Riders of Justice just a little bit better, but this movie was something. And it's just like that storyline. It's just so bananas.
Yeah, I think Riders of Justice is definitely more of an approachable movie.
Yeah.
This one has some, like I said, some really
very strange elements to it.
Dark, strange elements to it that may make you like, oh, this is disgusting.
Yeah.
Nothing. I want to reiterate that you don't see anything or anything like that. And what violence you do see is like I said, sort of slapsticky. I mean, people getting hit with giant pots and things like that.
And stuffed animals.
But
not toys.
Not toys. Like taxidermied, creatures of various sizes. Yeah, at one point he had like, what was it, like an ostrich or something? I don't know. That thing was that was big, and he had to run into the house to get it. You see him like running in the background, and then he comes back out, and he's just got this turkey or whatever. I don't know what the hell it was.
Yeah, this movie was nuts. I enjoyed it though. I can't wait to tell everybody to go see it. Seriously, it's just so bananas.
So weird, but in a really excellent way.
Yeah. I think I'm a huge fan of this guy. No, I am a huge fan of this guy.
Did he write it?
I believe he did. And directed it.
He wrote it?
Yeah.
Also, Riders of Justice. Did he write that one?
I think he did too. Yeah. It's interesting because this movie came out in 2015, and Riders of Justice came out. Yeah, written and directed by Anders Thomas Jensen, and Riders of Justice came out in 2020, so it's like a 5-year lapse. And then prior to Men and Chicken, he had done that Adam's Apple, which was 2005. So he's not like it's not like he puts out a lot of stuff. But I feel like the stuff he does put out is worth watching. My goodness.
All right, let's wrap it up.
All right, so that's it from us, and we bid you all a good night. But before we go, happy Thanksgiving, happy Indigenous Peoples Day, and be well, be safe, be happy. Good night.
Good night.